let's talk about how that Schmidt nib writes. So I have with me a writing sample I did yesterday in preparation for this. And the nib is very much appreciated that it is a fine nib that writes like a fine nib. I've been purchasing a lot of Yovo nibs recently that are not writing like fines. They are writing at about 0.7 millimeters, which puts it into what would traditionally be thought of as Western medium. And then if you apply any pressure, it goes on to 7.5, which is, encroaching on the broad end of things. But I have measured this. In fact, let's see, I can pull this one out of here. If I don't show you my to-do lists. Let's see, I'll do a line down here. Now I've applied quite a bit of pressure there at the top, just so we have a range to look at. And I will see if I can zoom this in. But here we have the 0.5, and that is a really good match for the short end of this, where I was applying a little bit of pressure. Towards the top, I'm getting closer to 2 point, which 2 point is 0.70. And then here, the next line up is 0.75, which is a little bit wider than what I've got there. But I really thought that was great because it's been kind of frustrating. I've been purchasing pens wanting to have one for Novel November, and I like to write with a fine nib, but they're all these big blobby. I'm not in my medium phase anymore. They're just wider than I was expecting, and it's kind of frustrating because why do we have ratings if they're going to be all over the board? And really, the industry needs to get their act straight because they're going to just be frustrating customers. Sorry if I seem salty there, but you're spending a lot of money on pens, and I feel like if you order a medium, you should get a medium. If you order a fine, you should get a fine. And I don't care if that fine comes from Japan or if it comes from Germany or Italy. They should be fine. They should follow some sort of an international standard like we have with everything else in commerce. So all y'all who are listening to this and are in the industry, get your act together. Sorry to put it that way. But as far as the Schmidt nib is concerned, wow, really great experience with this. One of the things that I'll point out is that when I do these diagonals, I do 3 up and then 3 down, 3 up and then 3 down. And that lets me know if there's going to be any scratching because I've already done the horizontal subverticals here. I got the exact same feeling on all of these lines here, which almost never happens. So I think this is really well tuned. And also you can see a lot of line variation here for steel nib. So I really was impressed by this. It exceeded my expectations. The ink flow, oh my gosh, look at this. It just went straight off the page. I had no idea it was going to do that. After I wrote all this, it didn't feel like I was getting a lot of ink, but then when I filled up that box and then did the streak, wow, it just kept going. And I thought to myself, if this was a normal, Yovo nib, I would tune this down so it was producing less ink. But it appears to be working just fine. So this is not indicative of any problems I'm going to have in the rest of the page. When I got to the end here, I just kind of checked it to make sure that everything was dry. And yeah, there was no problem with dry time. The shading is showing up. This is a perfectly tuned pen. These long lines are here so I can do one long line here this way and then another one in the reverse direction, which lets me know if there's going to be any feeling in a scratch. Sometimes you don't feel it in a very short amount of or period, but in a longer line here, you might feel it. You'll also sometimes see like too much ink at the beginning and then starvation somewhere in the middle, and then it'll pick up again towards the end. None of that happened with this pen. These two lines here are repeating the process, but with the nib upside down, reverse writing. These two areas here, I drew circles around here just to remind myself that these line widths are almost identical. There's probably a 1/4 of a millimeter difference between the line widths here. So those aren't pointing out spots where it didn't work well. As far as the writing was concerned, just really smooth. The ink came out just where I was expecting it to. There wasn't any blobbing or burping or anything like that. The fast writing, no problems there. Vertical fast writing. There were two areas where it got a little bit too much ink. Considering I was moving up and then back down, it's kind of like you would expect a little bit of ink there, but it wasn't a problem. Nothing along here with the circles either. A lot of the time I'll see that the top of the circles will have a drier area than the bottom of the circles, but they're the same on both of these. So I really thought it performed well. As far as the bounciness is concerned, it is on the stiffer side of nibs. It does flex, but it doesn't have a bounce to it. It's a bit like a platinum in that respect. Although it has to do with the material, not the shape of the nib. Well, with platinum, it's kind of got a flat top to it. Actually, let me see if I can show you that. Yeah, I have a platinum here. So with the platinum, you can see it's got a flat top to it. So with a flat top, you've got a broad surface which acts as one big piece of metal, and that's going to resist flexing. Whereas with a round one, you're really only talking about a very small surface at the top that's going to resist flexing in the up and down direction. It's going to want to split apart. If you have any questions about the Benu Haute, please let me know in the comments down below and I'll be happy to answer them.